In the brutal winter of 1878, a respected Cree hunter named Swift Runner did the unthinkable. He murdered and ate his family. When he finally stumbled out of the woods in the spring, he didn't deny it. He confessed to everything. But he claimed a monster made him do it. This is the chilling true story of Wendigo psychosis and the man who put a terrifying legend on trial. So, was he a cold-blooded killer who used a local legend as an excuse? Or was he the victim of an ancient evil that stalks the frozen north? The legend of the Wendigo. Before we can understand the man, we have to understand the monster. The Wendigo isn't some creature cooked up for a horror movie. It comes from the oral traditions of the Algonquian-speaking peoples of North America. It's a malevolent spirit born of winter, famine, and the gnawing desperation of starvation. This isn't the deer-skulled beast you see in pop culture. The authentic folklore describes something far more terrifying. A gaunt, emaciated giant, unnaturally tall, with ashen skin stretched tight over its bones. It is the very embodiment of insatiable hunger, a creature that only grows more ravenous the more it consumes. But the legend was more than just a scary story. It was a profound cultural warning. In the harsh winters of the Great Lakes region, survival depended on community and sharing. The ultimate taboo was cannibalism, and the Wendigo was the ultimate consequence. It was said a person could become a Wendigo in one of two ways: by being possessed by the spirit, or by giving in to their own hunger and consuming human flesh. It's a story about what happens when humanity is left behind for selfish survival and a monster is awakened from within. The man called Swift Runner, his Cree name was Kakij Kuchin, but he was widely known as Swift Runner, by all accounts. He was a well-respected man-skilled trapper and a trusted guide for both the Northwest Mounted Police and the Hudson S. Bay Company. But his reputation had been stained by a fondness for whiskey, and he had become known as aggressive and difficult, leading to his exclusion from his community. In the winter of 1878, he took his family, his wife, 6 children, mother, and brother deep into the forests of what is now Alberta, Canada, for a trapping season. As the winter wore on, the hunt failed. Starvation crept into their camp, and Swift Runner's eldest son was the first to die. This is where the story takes a horrifying turn. In the spring of 1879, Swift Runner emerged from the forest alone. He showed up at a nearby Catholic mission, looking surprisingly healthy, claiming his entire family had tragically starved to death. But the story didn't sit right. His wife's family was suspicious, and his well-fed appearance troubled the authorities who were called to investigate. They demanded he lead them back to his winter camp. What they found there was a scene of unimaginable horror. The camp was littered with human bones, picked clean of flesh and marrow. It was gruesomely clear that Swift Runner hadn't just survived. It feasted on his wife, 5 of his children, his mother, and his brother. The confession and the why faced with the grisly evidence, Swift Runner's story changed. He confessed, admitting to killing and eating 8 members of his family. But his confession came with a chilling claim. He wasn't responsible. Told the authorities a Wendigo spirit had possessed him, haunting his dreams until it drove him to commit the monstrous acts. The monster, he said, made him do it. This wasn't just a murderer's desperate excuse. At the time, what Swift Runner described was recognized by his people as a genuine affliction. Wendigo psychosis is a documented culture-bound syndrome. Its symptoms often begin with paranoia and depression, escalating into a violent, overwhelming craving for human flesh, along with the terrifying delusion that one is turning into a Wendigo. While modern psychology debates its status as a distinct disorder, for the Cree of the 19th century, the threat was very real. Perhaps the most disturbing fact of the case was that Swift Runner's family was camped just 25 miles from a Hudson S. Bay Company post, which was stocked with emergency food. This single detail suggested his actions weren't a last resort against starvation, but something far more sinister: man in the grip of a psychosis so powerful that it made him ignore salvation and choose butchery instead. Swift Runner's trial was swift. He never tried to hide his guilt, and the colonial legal system had no framework for a defense based on spiritual possession. On December 20th, 1879, he was executed by hanging at Fort Saskatchewan. In one of the first legal executions in the territory, the case of Swift Runner remains one of the most horrifying chapters in Canadian history. It leaves us with a disturbing question at the crossroads of folklore, psychology, and crime. Was Swift Runner a cold-blooded killer who cleverly twisted a local legend to explain away his horrific deeds? Or did the extreme isolation, starvation, and terror of that brutal winter truly shatter his mind, opening a door for a Wendigo spirit, whether real or a product of profound psychosis, to seize control? What do you think really happened out there in the woods? Let us know in the comments below.